Woohoo! I think I was on mute. I apologize. Let me try that again. Look, a lot of people are playing big for the Utah Hockey Club to start off this season. The stars are starring it up for the Utah Hockey Club, and it's terrific to see. They have no shortage of scoring the puck. They know how to get up and down the ice. The Rangers are big, physical team. A lot of people see the Rangers as one of the top 4 teams in the NHL. Definitely a team that if they don't make the Eastern Conference Final, like, the season is going to be looked at as sort of a failure almost. So the expectations for the Rangers this season are immense. And I do have to say that it will be fascinating to watch this season continue to progress with the Utah Hockey Club. It's clear. The scout tape is already out. The work that's going to go in to try to take away Dylan Guenther. But all that did was just open up opportunities for some of the other players. So really exciting development for the Utah Hockey Club, and really fun, right? I mean, come on, how fun was that game? You had a couple fights. You had a freaking weird goal by the Rangers. You had awesome goals scored by both teams. I thought there was a lot of really good hockey played. And, for how many goals there were, a lot of times you might watch a game with 6-5 and say, like, oh, well, the defense was just trash. Like, nobody was playing any defense. It's clear that it wasn't a physical contest, that there wasn't any, clash or problems along the way for either team. That's just not what I saw, right? I thought that while there's room for the defense to play better, and while there's room, right, for that part of the game to be played better, that was a physical game. There was a lot at stake for those teams. They played hard. It was a great challenge to start off the season. And I think that both teams actually probably, it's one of those, coaches from both teams are in the locker room praising their guys and telling them that we like the fight, we like the effort as we go along. So 6-5 is the score to finish the game, and what a game it was. Audre Lorde, she once wrote, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." And if Audre Lorde is to be believed, it is clear that the roster of the Utah Hockey Club are using their strength in the service of the vision, a vision that is daring to be powerful and does not seem to care whether or not there's reasons to be afraid. You have to hand it to the tremendous work that was put in by the Utah Hockey Club tonight. I was very impressed with a few things. Let's start clear back at the beginning. Feels like a lifetime ago. Giant story that happened in the wonderful, the good old hockey game. And we have to start with the opening goal that was scored by Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton with his 3rd goal of the season. Coming in the season, Barrett Hayton, that was one of the key stories of the entire season, is Barrett Hayton going to live up to the potential that he had as the number 5 overall pick way back when he was drafted, I think 2018 season. He's had injuries along the way. COVID hurt his development, and then he's had injuries. He's had kind of one season where he's able to play. I think he got to the 20-goal mark. Looks solid, but he's never really had a chance to build momentum. He's had lots of opportunity, plays with top lines and have opportunities to shine in those ways and get lots of ice time, but he's never totally put it together. He's a player that had a season interrupted last year because he took a puck, friendly fire from the blue line. It hit him in the glove. He broke his hand doing that, and he missed many games after that. But here we are, 3 games into the season. Barrett Hayton has 3 goals. The first 2 goals were on deflections. One of them seemed very intentional. The other one kind of happened, and it went in, and he got credit for it, so that was cool for him. But 3 goals, 3 games, Barrett Hayton, he's causing problems. He's getting pucks to the net in scenarios that create issues. And you gotta praise a guy that's getting a goal a game, right? He's had a great start to his season. It's definitely probably the best stretch of hockey in his entire career. Barrett Hayton, though, what I loved about that first goal was that he had the puck come down to him. It came through the zone, down onto the stick of Barrett Hayton. Keller made a great pass from the blue line. It came in, and then it was just him against Shesterkin. And look, there's the two best goalies in hockey, I think it's pretty clear. It's Igor Shesterkin and probably Connor Hellebuck. And Barrett Hayton last season was one of the 5 worst players when you measured how many goals he actually scored compared to how many expected goals he was supposed to have. I do like Hockey Advanced Stats. One of the Hockey Advanced Stats is called expected goals. And what expected goals does is it looks at the quality of your chance, where the shot was taken on the ice in relation to the defensive players who are also on the ice with you and where the goalie was. And Barrett Hayton was hugely deficient. His expected goals were much higher than what he actually scored last year. And to me, that's an example of being bad at finishing, not putting the puck in the back of the net when you have great opportunities. And when you play with Keller and Schmaltz, when you're out there with Keller and Schmaltz, you have to have the ability to put the puck into the back of the net. And Barrett Hayton failed to do that at the level he needed to do it. If you're playing with such good teammates and line mates, you've got to score. And Hayton did. This was a great example of him having an opportunity and not choking and making a nice move. Came to the outside and gave it a little lift, and he put it over the shoulder of Shesterkin, and bang, gets the Utah Hockey Club on the board just 3.5 minutes into the game. It was really exciting. Artemi Panarin is awesome, but you all know that. Artemi Panarin, what a player for the New York Rangers. He is absolutely electric, isn't he? His ability to score and score quickly, his release on his shot, it's a lot like Dylan Guenther's. People have been trying to ask me, who does Dylan Guenther's game sort of mimic? Who does it remind you of? What does it look like? I actually think Artemi Panarin's not a terrible suggestion on what you might see in Dylan Guenther. So Panarin, 2 goals tonight, both of them incredibly skilled. Jack McBain, was happy to see him get on the board. Look, same thing. Jack McBain is kind of in the same spot as Barrett Hayton. He's on the ice with Logan Cooley. He's on the ice with Dylan Guenther. The guy that is not drawing any eyeballs, the guy who is not going to be attracting people to him is Jack McBain. Big Jack McBain did a great job of getting low, getting there to the rebound, keeping his composure, taking the puck. Uh-oh. Well, we'll go without the light. Sorry, doesn't look as good. Keeping his composure, getting the puck from behind the net, slowly working it up, and just quickly reacting, not slowly, but quickly reacting to get it to the front of the net and putting it in the back of the net. A quick shovel action, kind of, and he put it in. That was really well done. It's the sort of play that a player like him needs to get. He's another really young player, and with who his line mates are, it would be fascinating to see how far Jack McBain is going to go. I don't think in any reasonable terms people would have believed that Jack McBain may be the kind of player that may end up with 20 goals in a season. That has not happened yet. When Nick Bjugstad comes back, the question will be very clear. Will Jack McBain get opportunities to continue to play with Cooley and Guenther? But as things are currently rolling, why wouldn't you keep him with Logan Cooley? Why wouldn't you keep him with Guenther? I think it's awesome. And the fact that he scored a goal in one of these games, I think you definitely have to consider continuing to try Jack McBain as we go through these things. And so I was happy to see him get the goal. And from getting that goal, we saw through the first 2 games, we didn't really see a whole lot of passes going Jack McBain's way. They were trying to feed the puck more to Jack McBain, and that was a function of 2 things. One, they had a little bit more trust in him because he netted a goal, and then secondly, McBain was more open, and became more obvious the choice of who needed to get the puck for Logan Cooley, because they were all over Dylan Guenther. I mean, they were really cheating towards number 11. They were like, there's no way we're going to let him get 2 goals tonight. But all things being said, they were 2-2. Then Clayton Keller, he gets his 2nd goal of the season. And really the story on that one is, while Keller gets the goal and the accolade for that, to me, that was about the forecheck that was put in by Alex Kerfoot. Kerfoot was just pure effort through that. And then he made this awesome little move where, he went backhand and he released from the puck. He just totally trusted that there was space and that he was going to do this. So he's against the board. He's got the defenseman from New York is on him. He backhands it out into the middle of the ice. He then rotates 360. So he goes opposite of the direction where he just put the puck. So he loses it, turns around, gets his vision to the puck right here. For those of you watching, right? He turns all the way around. Then when he comes back around, he gets his eyes on that puck and then finds a way to go ahead and find a play in the middle across the ice. That pass by Kerfoot to Keller was awesome. And Zach, it was a monster win by the boys. What a big play. How sick was that game, Zach? We had a lot of fun watching it here tonight. We were making lots of noise. We were scaring our dogs, scaring our children, and just having a fun time. I cannot believe how fun this group is in terms of scoring and on offense, and how quickly you can watch them come the other way, and how quickly that turns that direction for this team. So that happens, and then the momentum's on. Kevin Stenlund scores on the rush. This is a good shot, too. Glove side, he gets it by Shesterkin. Just up nice and high and under the post. It's not really a Kevin Stenlund play. That's probably going to be his nicest goal of the season. He typically is a player that scores sort of, getting to the dirty areas, right? I think that that's what you're going to see from Kevin Stenlund for the year, and the good work that he does on the penalty kill. But I thought that Stenlund tonight had the goal, and that was great. But I also thought that he wasn't as reliable on the face-off dot. Trocheck's a great face-off guy for the Rangers, but I thought that Stenlund, obviously netting that goal off the pass from Matias Michelli, that was fantastic. Who doesn't love that? Then you also get the absolutely bonkers, like, it looked like Utah was on their way to maybe kind of walk this thing. Like, maybe they could put a little gap, because that's how good that second period stretch was. They were doing really well. And then there was that freak show bounce. What was that? Where Keandre Miller, he just sends it in. He's going to ring it around the boards. It hits off of a seam between 2 of the panes of glass. Bounces funny, comes back in. It goes into the net because Connor Ingram's out of it. That was a bad break. Then right after that, though, not too much longer, then we got the power play sequence where they got on the power play. Then Logan Cooley draws another penalty. He takes the high stick. And then you saw the 5-on-3. And I actually wasn't very impressed with the 5-on-3. There was just mostly just passing in the umbrella. They had kind of the umbrella format. They had somebody right at the middle of the blue line and the point. They had 2 guys at the top of the circles on the wings. One was Keller, and on the other side it was Guenther. And then they tried to play with 2 men down low, kind of in the bumper spot, and they were kind of switching places. And then what we saw quickly after that is that when the fourth attacker or fourth defenseman came back on for the Rangers, there was this weird thing that happened. It was almost like they forgot that what makes them really good on the power play is how quickly they're able to cycle the puck around and really move across the seam and find ways to change the distances for the goalie where he's worried about a shot in close or a shot from distance. And as soon as it got back to regular power play, on 5-on-3, they just were like, eh. But when it was 5-on-4, suddenly the puck was really moving again. There came a part where the puck got down low, went into the slot, and it must be said, Nick Schmaltz did a fantastic job of, there he is, point blank. It's him versus Shesterkin. He's on the glove side for Shesterkin. Tough to find space there. He also knows the kid, right? The Gretzky of Zion. The kid that is on track to score 130 goals this year. That Dylan Guenther's on the other side. They're looking and trying to get it there. It's clear they didn't want the puck to get over there. They didn't want it to get over there. And then suddenly it got right into the slot. It got on the stick of Nick Schmaltz. Schmaltz had a great opportunity to shoot. He had a great opportunity to shoot. And instead of shooting, a little backhand pass, gets it over to Dylan Guenther. Guenther on the one-timer. And I mean, it's wicked. It is wicked what that kid does. I mean, that is just top shelf. It came off his stick. It was like a blaze. And when you're Shesterkin, you got to stay low because he's busy, crouching low. He's keeping his pad low because he's going from the left side of the net to the right side of the net. So he wants to protect the low areas of the net, meaning the shooter's got to get that puck up. And that's what you see Guenther do. He gets the puck up nice and high. It gets right over the shoulder of Shesterkin and bang. I mean, what a shot. 5-3, the Gretzky of Zion, 5th goal of the season, Dylan Guenther. Wow, what a amazing start. Usually players, we've seen a lot in other sports, and it certainly is the case in hockey, where a player gets a contract and gets a really nice contract, and then the contract hangs over them. It's like this big weight that they put around their neck, and it makes them just like they really struggle to play with that contract. That is not the case for Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther, he gets 8-year deal. He's an $8 million a year guy, and there he is. Bang, just netting goals like crazy. 5 goals in 3 games. He is absolutely electric. Which brings me to this. How many goals is Dylan Guenther going to score this year? And the next question is when will we have a game where Dylan Guenther doesn't score? They really went out of their way to try to feed it to Guenther. And, the last post game we did after the Islanders, one of the people in the chat had mentioned that Guenther reminded them of Ovechkin. And I see it from the sense of where they line up during the power play on that left dot. But I also see it from the quality of the shot that he has. Now, Ovechkin's like the greatest goal scorer like ever. So, But I would just say that Guenther and the work that he does on the PK is awesome. And the work that they do to try to get it to him so that he gets a chance to let it rip. That was awesome to watch the work that was put in by Schmaltz to get it over to Guenther. It was the right play, too. It wasn't just force-feeding it. It was the right play. So, it's fantastic work. Fantastic work on that power play. The power play continues to be a tool for this team. And if you have a high-scoring power play, a lot of really good things can happen for the team. Then things kind of fell apart after that. Schneider gets the goal, right? Then another goal goes in the third period. So they lose the third period. That's the second period they've lost all year. So they've played 9 periods of hockey. They've only lost 2 of them so far. Listen, that's a great way for things to go. If you continue to win on the micro, you're going to win at the macro. And then they get into the overtime. That overtime, it took a little bit of work, right? it took some time as they went their way through that period to try to find a way to finally get that goal into the net. And that's the problem sometimes in that 3-on-3 format is if you don't get possession and you don't score early on, now you've just put out your top attackers and they've just been chasing the puck around for a little bit. And then you end up with some funky groups. And, I like Lawson Krause. But for me, I don't really want to see Lawson Krause out there in the 3-on-3. But he needed to go out there on the 3-on-3 because they needed to go get the puck back. And also, it was the case that Cooley and Gunther and Keller and Schmaltz and, all of those players had been out there for a while. And so we had a little bit where it was Barrett Hayton and Lawson Krause out there. And I think they were with Sergachev. And you just don't feel like that's going to probably get you the winner. But what they did do is they did find a way to go out there and get the puck back. And then from that opportunity, it was really goofy. But you saw Clayton Keller go down. He digs the puck out off the boards. He works his way behind the net. He then gets close to the net front, and they were so nervous that Keller was going to pass it to either Sergachev or Schmaltz that they just backed off. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Clayton Keller. A player that has scored over 30 goals in consecutive seasons. There are not many of those players in the entire NHL. There's less than 30 of them. This is a player that finishes in as one of the top 25 points getters in the NHL. Why they decide that he's not the threat, I will never know. But I'm glad that it happened because it resulted in a victory for the Utah Hockey Club. 3-0. 6 points through 3 games. This is a team that needs to rack up points and steal points whenever they can. Before the season, I picked and predicted every single game that the Utah Hockey Club was going to play this season. And and I'm just opening it up real quick, one of the things that I definitely penciled in for this team was to not come away with the victory over the Rangers here tonight. But they did. I didn't think they'd get full points off of the New York Islanders, having just traveled to the East Coast and played 2 nights before in a dramatic game. But they got the win. So, New Jersey, thought of to be one of the great teams in the East. They had really great odds. Vegas thinks New Jersey's real good. They got two of the Hughes brothers. They got Nico Hischier. They just traded for the goalie. And I just think what you're going to see from the Devils is that the Devils are going to give a really tough game on Monday afternoon. It's the last game of the East Coast swing, but the travel obviously between the Islanders, the Rangers, and then to the Devils, this is not a grueling travel schedule. And so it probably isn't really affecting them. And beyond that, it's early in the season. One last big thing, and I mentioned this in the last one, but it is awesome to see that through 6 of the goals, what we're seeing is the team has the ability to score on both the rush and the cycle. And the really good offensive teams can do both. And frequently what you'll see is teams that are young, the way the Utah Hockey Club is, they score because of their skill on the rush. Their speed is there. They have young legs. And early in the season, other teams aren't able to grind you down quite as easy as they do later in the season. And what happens is they're able to get out on the rush and get opportunities scoring there. But 16 goals in 3 games, you don't have to have unbelievable goalkeeping when you're scoring 16 goals in 3 games. Your goalkeeping, you'd love to see the goalkeeping be a little stronger. You'd love to see less goals getting through on the Utah Hockey Club. But at the end of the day, right, all things considered, They've given up 10 goals through 3 games. They've scored 16 themselves. This is a group that is doing what needs to happen in order to put themselves firmly into the playoff picture. I mean, you can't control what's going to happen with other teams, but you definitely can control that you can get into the playoffs. Through the work that I put in before the season began, the number that I had in order to get into the playoffs is if they get to 90 points, they're in. And from my calculations, just based on what I was projecting before the season, and look, they're making me look like an idiot. And thank goodness. I love looking like an idiot, especially when it means that the team I'm following gets more points and wins. I had them getting 87 points this season, being the 9th team in the West and just barely missing the playoffs. But they're 4 points ahead of schedule. I had them at 87 points based on losing to the Islanders, based on losing to the Rangers. I had them potentially eking out a loser point against the Rangers. But the point is that they've got 4 points already from this 4-game road trip, and there's 2 more games left. They're ahead of schedule. They need to get to 90 points if they're going to find their way into the playoffs this year. And they're on schedule. Can they keep the scoring up? Can they continue this path where they continue to dominate with such efficiency as it comes to attacking? I don't know, but listen, that's Igor Shesterkin. You do not score 6 goals on Igor Shesterkin very easily. And here's the other part. Is sometimes when you watch hockey, there's lucky goals. There's puck luck. None of these goals were bullcrap goals. Barrett Hayden, one-on-one with Shesterkin, makes a nice move, top shelf. That's the first one. Jack McBain, shot came in from Gunther. No, it was the shot that came in. I think it was Kolyachonik, actually. But anyway, shot comes in. Rebound is out and available. It's collected by McBain. He uses a big, strong body, brings it back forward, and scores. That's not a bullcrap goal. That they forced the rebound. They found their way. They scored it again. So, and then the Clayton Keller, Alex Kerfoot with the nice move where he had the backhand, did the 360 twirl, got it on his forehand, made the great pass to Keller, and Keller roofed it and scored. Stenlund scored on the rush. He put it right over the glove of Shesterkin, or right over his shoulder, and put it in the net. It was a great shot. Dylan Gunther's power play goal off the pass from Schmaltz. That was skill. The goal by Clayton Keller right at the end. There was a little bit of a brain fog by the Rangers defense. I will admit that. But I will say that he did make a terrific play and score right on Shesterkin by walking it right in front. None of those were bullcrap goals. None of them were a goal that just happened to go off of the stick of or the skate of Anthony Duclair and trickle its way in, or Keandre Miller's goal where he he clears it into the zone, it goes off the glass, it bounces into the middle. You know, Ingram's there to collect it as it is supposed to ring around the boards. It doesn't do that. It comes in and it just bounces into the net. I mean, those are bullcrap goals. And it's nice. It's nice when you get bullcrap goals when you're watching your hockey team. You hope they get ridiculous goals that find their way into the net. What the Utah Hockey Club did is they scored 6 skill goals. You know, you don't want to say legitimate because every goal that goes in, it counts. It's on the board. But they scored 6 goals that were because of their creativity, their guile, and their ability to perform a skill. And they all were scored against Shesterkin, who was in position and was just absolutely, completely shell-shocked by the Utah Hockey Club. 26 shots on goal, 6 of them go into the back of the net. You have to love what they did. The other part of this is a culture piece. You know, the second period was so rollicking. It was so weird. They waved one of the goals off because Matt Rempe got into the crease. Reasonable people, I suppose, could disagree, but Rempe was in the crease. Whether or not that was the reason that Ingram was unable to stop that puck, I don't know. I will just say that was the break that the Utah Hockey Club got in this game, is that they waved off that goal for Matt Rempe. Or, who was it? Was it Fox? But anyway, they waved off a goal. But the bigger thing on the culture piece is that off the face-off on the center dot, they had a quick draw and started going the other way. They got into the area. They got around Connor Ingram. They didn't even run over Connor Ingram, really. I mean, earlier in the game when Ingram came out, but they had a penalty called on him for that. Ingram did his job. He came out. He was trying to play the puck. There was no attempt to avoid Connor Ingram. That was a good penalty call. But I do think that what happened was they came after Ingram. They were just going hard towards the net. And, gosh, you love to see the young guys. I know Jack McBain can throw down. He's a big fella. We know that he fights. This is something that in his young career, he's a young player. He fights and will stand up for his teammates from time to time. It's something he does. Kesselring getting caught up in it and getting in there and fighting. By the way, that didn't look like a very fun fight. That looked like a tough guy fight. And Kesselring was right there with it. And it was proud to see Michael Kesselring get in there and get a little tough there against the big bad New York Rangers, who are trying to figure out what their tough guy bona fides are, because they're going to have to figure out how to deal with Florida later in the year. And, you know, in a different universe with this group, they would have taken a look at this game and felt the bullying that was coming their way and then kind of laid over and not found a way to deal with all of that. And what ended up happening instead is that, you know, they matched it. A couple game misconducts because there's 2 fights on the ice. You can't have multiple fights, otherwise chaos can ensue if all 5 fight each other. But although when that happens in a game, that's kind of fun. I thought that the chance of you'll respect us, you're the needing to get in there and show the other squad that you can defend yourself, that even though you're young, you're going to be tough. You're going to be a thorn in their side. They cannot do these things to you throughout the game, and they certainly will not get around Connor Ingram like that. We're gonna stop you from any of that. We are not going to put up with any of that. I think that's great. I mean, it's just great, and I was surprised. I was surprised to see it from Kesselring. It gives me a different look into what his game is and what he might develop into. Developmentally, like with Kesselring, it's like fascinating. Kind of think of what he is. It's kind of interesting that he's already playing as like a top 4 defenseman right now. The question is like, will he stick as a top 4 defenseman? I don't really see Kesselring as like a top pair defenseman, like maybe ever. Like, so that means his top end opportunity is to be a second line defenseman, a top 4 defenseman. Second pair defenseman. And we see Kesselring in there playing that right now in his really young career. And like, he's been really good. He's got the hardest shot of any player in the league statistically to this point. He had a 97-mile-an-hour rip. That's the hardest shot of anybody during gameplay during the NHL in this young season. I don't know that it'll stick as the hardest shot for the season, but I do believe that we are going to see Michael Kesselring continue to play at a high level. And it's interesting because he's on the right side. He's the right shot defenseman. And you're going to see John Marino come back from injury.
He's going to be mixed back into the group. And the question is will that move Kesselring down, or will Marino need to play in that third pair as he comes back? And I think he'll start in the third pair. He'll work his way back into the groove of things. And then what'll end up happening is you're going to see Kesselring find his way back into the top four, I think, as time goes on. I don't know what the whole history of all that is going to be, but it will be fascinating. It'll be absolutely fascinating. So, is this a playoff team? 3 games into the season, they're ahead of schedule. It's hard not to be really excited about what we've seen from the Utah Hockey Club this point of the season. If they continue to take points like this away from the teams and then handle their business against teams that are lesser, that they should handle, against the Chicagos of the world, they should absolutely handle themselves. As they play, Calgary, and as they play some of the other teams in their division, Chicago is an absolute you got to beat. St. Louis is a team that they have ambitions of taking a step forward this year. Utah has ambitions of taking a step forward this year. Nashville, they went and grabbed all the players that they did. Stamkos, and you take a look at what they have. That's they're tough. Obviously, you kind of like. I kind of like Minnesota and what they have. Kaprizov, I think, is tough, and dealing with them will be, difficult. And then obviously the Avalanche and Stars, I think, are in a different class, and we'll see that play out as the year goes along. The question is can Utah can they knock out either Minnesota or Nashville, or does it mean that someone from the Pacific's going to have to take a hike? You like what the Edmonton Oilers can give. Vancouver's had a shaky start to the season. Vegas, obviously, they're always tough. The LA Kings, they play a style that always gives them a chance as long as they can get into a groove. They can grind out games with their system. That 1-3-1, that can be brutal. It can drive other teams nuts. They find a way to kind of grind out wins. I feel like, Los Angeles, they don't have a very high ceiling, but their floor is also not very low. I think they're definitely probably a playoff team. So the question is Seattle then, they went and made some big additions in the offseason. The ownership group, right, from the reports that are there, their ownership group is feeling very seriously that Seattle needs to move forward this season, that they need to get better. Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose, I think all 3 of those teams should probably stay below. But the question of the Utah Hockey Club getting in is either 5 teams from the Central need to get there, or you've got to knock out Nashville or Minnesota. So in the young season, lots and lots and lots of games to play. But when the target's 90 games and you have 6 already, that's great work. That's great work. And now they got the New Jersey Devils. So another game that I did not expect them to go and win. The Devils have obviously, they were overseas to start their season. They came out with 2 wins over Buffalo. And if that is to be impressive, and I suppose it could be, that's what it'll be. What did they do tonight? What did the Devils do tonight? Let's just take a look. Should we peruse for 1 second? Are they 3-0 as well? Matchup of undefeateds, is that what we're going to face? Yeah. Hang on. Isn't it Washington? Didn't Washington play? Yeah, Washington, New Jersey. Yeah, the Devils won 5-3. Okay, so yeah, so that's what we're looking at. Is the Devils are 3-0. Utah also 3-0. Devils obviously are coming back home. They played in Washington tonight, so it's their first true home game of this year. So they will open up their season. We are the home opener for the New Jersey Devils. And it would be awesome if they could find a way to play spoiler once again for the Devils. That would be a wild thing to happen. But why not? I mean, if you can attack the way that the Utah Hockey Club can attack, I mean, if you're going to beat the Utah Hockey Club right now at the current scoring clip that they're at, you got to score 6 goals. You've got to score 6 goals. Now, you can get shots. There's lots of shots available against the Utah Hockey Club. There are lots of shots available against the Utah Hockey Club. And Connor Ingram's been pretty solid. It takes a pretty good look or a good bounce or a lucky break to beat him. He's been solid. He's not giving up anything that's soft, anything that's cheap. But you can score. You can score against Utah. And you can definitely get your opportunities and your shots in. The question is are we going to see an either, I mean, there's got to be a step up defensively because there's got to be some sort of regression from the scoring for the Utah Hockey Club. I just refuse to believe they're going to score over 400 goals this year. But as things currently stand, yeah, you need to score at least 4 goals to beat the Utah Hockey Club. It would be hard for me to believe that they're going to be held to 1 goal or 2 goals. As good as New Jersey is, as good as they had an offseason, and you know, you tip your hat to what they are supposed to be, what Vegas respects about them, and as you take a look at what they have, you know, Jesper Bratt and the Hughes brothers, and you know, Heischer is a really strong center. Timo Meyer is a good player, right? Dougie Hamilton. They got a lot of things that you can like, right? Markstrom in goal. He's solid, who they just picked up. But I would just say that I think there's a very good chance that they might lose to New Jersey. But at the same time, like, it's hard to believe that Utah Hockey Club is not going to rack up some goals. It just feels like goals are going to be available. And they have the ability to score. They're going to score. They are absolutely lighting it up. And, you know, the other place is they need to stop taking as many penalties, but that's a place they can clean up. Hopefully, if they can be low on their penalty takes, if they can have opportunities on the power play, I do think that you're going to see this as another potentially really good game. So they work their way right there, that New York swing. They got the Islanders, the Rangers, and now they got the Devils. If they can come away, we know, look, it's already a win. The road trip's already a win. They got 4 points already. It's unbelievable. If they can come away with 5 or even 6 from those 3 games, that is the stuff that you remember at the end of the season. You go like, oh, that's, if they are to make the playoffs, if they are to qualify in that way, that this would be a stretch that you would look back and say, that's because they did some unexpected stuff early in the season that really helped them on their way. They got prepared, they came to the season, and they were ready to play. Last thing to think about for this game is, what do you think the role of being like, do you think it impacts a team to not have to worry about whether or not the team is going to be able to pay for your hotel room? Like, does that affect your ability to score on the power play? I kind of feel like maybe it does. It seems to make sense to me that maybe just the change in ownership and being on a team where, like, the city's behind it. I mean, look, Arizona had a chance to keep the Coyotes. There was a vote, right? Tempe was like, okay, we could build a new arena and give a new entertainment district here in Tempe, or we could keep our city dump. And instead of keeping an NHL hockey team in Arizona, the citizens were like, no, we want the dump. We want the landfill. Keep the landfill instead of these Arizona Coyotes. And it's just got to be the case that for these players to be playing in an organization where the government officials want them to be there, where the owner isn't trying to be cheap about everything and wait to extend contracts until the very last moment possible. And, well, wait a second, what do we do in order just to get above the salary floor, right? What are we doing to grab dead money from other teams and burn up our cap to get to the salary floor by taking other teams' bad, dead money, bad contracts? Like, it just has to be the case that for a group of players who were in a purgatory of sorts because they were playing in an organization that was failing to pay their bills reportedly. You know, hello, this is accounts receivable from Hilton. Were you planning on paying for the rooms for your hockey players, Mr. Morello? The fact that that is no longer what's going on, the fact that they are no longer playing for a city, even though they had great fans who were loyal to them in their way, they're no longer playing in a market where the market could choose to provide them a facility and a real arena, or keep a landfill, and they chose the landfill over an NHL team. Now they're here in Utah. They're supported in the way that they're getting supported. Like, does that affect them to the level that now, in a scenario where you wouldn't go on the road and you wouldn't win these sort of road games, but now you're like, no, we have to fight back. We've got to find a way to get a goal. We got to find a way to get that overtime winner. We owe it to Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith, Ryan and Ashley. We want to show them our gratitude. And so we're going to find a way to fight our way back and grind out victories and get points. Like, I don't know. Who's to say? But I would say that it certainly doesn't hurt, right? It's certainly a scenario where you got to think it's helping them along the way here. So that's the recap for the game tonight. An unlikely win for the Utah Hockey Club that was not fluky, that didn't come on the force of puck luck, that was done through skill and absolute guile on the offensive end of the ice. Their ability to continue to come together and they're daring to be powerful. They're using their strength. They are united in this vision that's happened with Andre Tourné, and they are finding ways to continue to score or put points on the board in the standings. And here they are, 3-0, and it's becoming less and less important whether or not they're feeling afraid. They're just committed to the whole thing. And so, fights come in, deficits come in, dropping and losing leads, whatever the challenges have been early on, and there's been numerous of them. Each of the 3 games that they've won, they've had adversity. This group has had to dig in and find a way to go get a win. So it's been awesome to watch, and we congratulate them. We're really excited for them, and we want them to continue to do well. One more note. Is there a chance that on Monday afternoon that we do not see Karel Vejmelka? Or excuse me, that we do see Karel Vejmelka instead of Connor Ingram? I think there's a pretty good chance that we get Karel Vejmelka instead of Connor Ingram Monday. And if we get Karel Vejmelka, he is a different style of goaltender. He makes more, in my opinion, more impressive saves, more highlight reel saves, but does not save the stuff that Ingram normally saves, if that makes sense. Ingram is in position, typically, other than the Condre Miller weird bounce goal that whatever. But, Ingram is usually in the right spot. He's standing in the right place, and his, if there's a deflected puck, he's in the right spot in order to to be big, get in the way, have it hit him in the chest, and then he controls that rebound. Vmelka, what we're going to see is flashier. He reacts. He's a reaction kind of goalie. He likes to see the puck. So if you can get in on him, if there can be a screen, in those scenarios, he really struggles because, Ingram will make saves on pucks that he doesn't necessarily see all the way. Vmelka will not. Vmelka needs to see the puck. He needs to react to that puck, and he'll flash the glove or the pads, and he'll find a way to make those saves. That's kind of what you get from his style. And sometimes when you're on and you can really see the puck, Vmelka can put in really great performances in the pipes. And I think you're going to see him against the Devils. And so the Devils, they play with some speed. They come at you. They're quick. They can really skate. They were a menace 2 seasons ago. Last season, they had a drop-off for whatever reason. I don't know what happened in full with the Devils, to be frank. It's kind of confounding what happened. There was, I know Dougie Hamilton's injury really hurt them on the blue line. John Marino wasn't as good for them as he was the year before. Now he's on the Utah Hockey Club. Hopefully that comes out to be okay when he gets healthy. But anyway, it'll be fascinating to see. I think that it's probably the case Ingram will not be in the net on Monday afternoon. We're probably going to get Karel Vmelka. The question is will we see Kyle Yamamoto? Are we going to see Liam O'Brien against the Devils? It's all possible. I don't know how hurt Jack McBain's hands are after smashing him on the face of the New York Rangers. Something tells me he's a pretty tough guy. That won't hold him out. So that's all the things I'm thinking about as we head into an exciting game on Monday. Team is ahead of schedule. This team is elite at scoring that puck. They find ways to score, and it's absolutely thrilling. I'm so appreciative of everybody that took a little time, come hang out tonight here with us at Hive State Hockey, have an opportunity to talk a little bit about the game and the improbable win. 6-5 the score. Utah Hockey Club over the New York Rangers. I just want to take a quick second and say my name, Keith Schertz. I was the play-by-play voice for BYU hockey. Also did it for Utah Valley University hockey. And started Hive State Hockey because I wanted to talk about the Utah Hockey Club. I've watched hockey for my whole life, and I'm really, really excited to have a team here in Utah and to cover it, make it something that we all can talk about. I just got tired of just talking about what the name of the team was going to be. I wanted to provide a place to actually talk and interact with people about hockey. So if you took a second to tune in tonight, I appreciate it. If you could give me a thumbs up on the stream, I'd really appreciate that. It'll help other people potentially find what we do here. And, hopefully we can have more nights like this, more nights like we had after the New York Islanders. Hopefully they go 82-0. Maybe they'll score 164 points this season and become the greatest story in the history of professional sports. That would be pretty great. We'll see what happens. Oh, and by the way, one other thing. Dylan Guenther, what a letdown, huh? Just 1 goal, not 2. But we can see, just to hammer that one more time, you can see the amount of attention he's drawing. And that's only going to increase. And it'll be really fascinating. I mean, this is a player who's played about, 55 games in the NHL in total. So what's going to happen when their game plans are really out to stop Dylan Guenther, and how does he react to that, and what's the next phase of his career look like? The fact that the other teams have to account for him, that they are making specific takeaway plans on how to stop Dylan Guenther this early in his career, that just speaks to what an electric talent he is. And we taunt every Vancouver Canuck fan forever for trading away the pick that ended up being Dylan Guenther in exchange for Connor Gunland and the ability to dump some salaries. That was a bad one for the Vancouver Canucks, and I hope it tortures them for the next decade. Look it up. It's on YouTube. There's a couple, I think there's a video that's even called The Worst Trade in Vancouver Canucks History, where they took Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland and, dumped some salaries that came off the books. And then for their trouble, they gave Bill Armstrong a first-round pick that ended up being a lottery pick that ended up being Dylan Guenther. Not too shabby. It was basically the first big move that happened in the entire rebuild for the Arizona Coyotes, and now we get to enjoy it here in Utah. Our owner can pay for hotels, reportedly. So, I don't want any trouble with Alex Morello. Sorry. I'm sure you're great. All right. Appreciate anyone that tuned in. Thanks again. Subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here and you've enjoyed that the time. Give the thumbs up to the video. We'll have more post games after the buzzer Monday afternoon when they play the New Jersey Devils. Have a great evening, and congratulations to Utah Hockey Club, 3-0 to start the season.